So normally, because I've noticed how much better obviously the filming quality is if I film on my R6 or my R8, I would have done this video on there. However, today's video, I'm going to need to show you both of those cameras, so I'm just going to use my G7X Mark III and really hope that the focus is on. I'm just going to tap my face here to make sure it's really holding me. We're going to try that. I don't know. Not my favorite camera. My original G7X was actually better, but I gave that to my husband. So I picked up what is now going to be, and you probably won't believe me, the last part of my professional photography kit. And honestly, even the rest of the stuff. Like, now that I have the Fuji lenses that I like, don't see any reason to buy any more Fuji lenses. I covered the range that I need. I also am not really buying Olympus gear anymore, so I'm just keeping what I have and leaving it at that. And I'm happy with my X100V, so even if they were to come out with a new one, I'm going to keep mine. But the last piece of equipment I wanted for my professional business is the RF 70 to 200. My gosh, I can't talk today. So here it is. Now, I have used the EF model with an adapter on my R6 once, and that was awful because it was so heavy and it just was really bulky. And I kind of thought after that, like, I don't know that I want that lens, but I loved the reach that it got me during a softball game that I was photographing for our church. Now, that was the EF version. And when I saw how much different the RF version is, I was like, you know what? I think I'll be okay. And it is much lighter. Now, yesterday when I got it, I did put it on my R6. It's very heavy and bulky. Then I was like, I wonder how it feels on my R8, which is what it's on right now. And actually, on my R8, it is not very big and bulky, and it feels fairly well balanced, and like, it's not bad. Now, this was the reason I didn't film on my other camera. Oh gosh. This is my R6 with the 85-1.2. Now, granted, I think the reason this is so much heavier is because that 1.2 L glass is a lot heavier than a 2.8. Obviously, the diameter is a lot wider. Now, and the camera itself, like my R6, is much heavier in general than my R8 and much bulkier. It is definitely a heavy setup. Now, let's see if this will focus for you guys. I honestly can't tell if it's still trying to focus on me. This camera is a nightmare sometimes, but that was why I wanted to use this camera to film instead of these, because I want to show you the difference. I did test it out yesterday on both cameras. Works great on both. Let me set that back down. That is so heavy. But my main goal for having this is for, one, events and sports. I have done some sports photography. I would love to do more, and this is definitely a key part of that. I also do a lot of event photography for my church, which, granted, that part is not paid, but it does help lead to paid gigs because people see me and go, oh, you're a photographer. But that really helps when I'm trying to get like those candid moments where I don't want to have to be right up in someone's face and I can kind of like be off to the side. But also for big weddings. I have one coming up in January that will be in a big Catholic church, and it's a big one. And so I'm like, I really want to make sure I have a good, solid telephoto lens. I am not normally a zoom lens person. I am a prime lens person. But I really didn't think a 135 was going to feel great for me either. And I do love the fact that this has the versatility to go from 70 to 200. Because really, when I want those like super portrait-y shots, like that's during the portrait time. I can put my 85 on during that and really get those sharp portraits. During the ceremony, I'd rather have a lens that gives me the versatility. I still haven't figured out like which one I'm going to have on which camera. I'm probably going to have the 70 to 200 on my R8 just because it's lighter. But then I'm kind of like, I'm not really sure what, maybe a 50 on my RF or on my R6. I'm really not sure because like I love my 85, but if I'm using a 70 to 200, and 85 seems kind of pointless. So it just kind of depends on what I feel like is going to be the best fit for the venue. But that's mostly what this is going to be for, is like for ceremony time. Maybe for receptions if I really want it for that too, but my 85 will be better in receptions because of the low light capability, because it's even lower with that 1.2. Not that this is bad with the 2.8, but just that 1.2 will be better. Some of the main differences I notice here, so it is locked right now, but this is an external zoom, whereas, oh, I can see it going out of focus again. The EF version is an internal zoom, so basically it comes out, whereas the EF is already this long because it's internally zooming. Sometimes that's frustrating. Like, I know when I did that softball game, I was right up against the fence, which I definitely can't do with this one. The other thing is, and most people have said this too, it's annoying how far up the zoom is that you have to, like, it'd be easier if it was like more like here or something. So that's a little frustrating because it's a little awkward to try and be like, oh wait, I gotta zoom all the way out here instead of like holding it here, which feels more natural. But no, yeah, it seems like a really great lens. The little tiny bit that I've tested it out so far, I'll get to test it more coming up here. I have a lot of stuff coming up, but I also have a wedding next weekend, so I'll get to test it there. I have some other small photo shoots coming up, but I really don't see myself using on those. Like I said, those are gonna be more of my portrait lens photo shoots. This is really just for events, sports, and big weddings. So even small weddings, honestly, but still for weddings. So that is probably the last piece of gear that I'm gonna buy, which you may not believe me, but I'm pretty happy with both the camera bodies I have now, and I can't see any other lenses that I need personally. I really don't use zooms mostly. This is just a more convenient option for those types of moments like a ceremony or events. So that's it.